Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. And this is my review on the Never Ever Mets. I don't know about y'all, but I'm so tired of this show. Like, I still feel like most of these couples, if not all of them, this is a one big improv class. I ain't even saying it correctly. Improv class. I'm over it. But what I do know is that it's just too many master manipulators on this freaking show. If this is really legit and these couples were actually couples trying to meet each other for the first time, they are master manipulators. And I can see why they pretty much only date online, because eventually, if people met them in person, they're going to see through their BS. So with that being said, let me get started with the review. I don't even remember the episode. I don't even remember the name of this episode, but we're going to get back to Shamar, aka Britt, and her issue with Ty and putting her fingers all up in his face, and she's trying to explain that she was trying to protect this man and not put their business out there, and she's always the one trying to protect him, but he's never protecting her. And so Jay takes this moment, and I'm sorry, like, to a certain extent, I understand what Jay was saying, but her hostility towards Britt this whole entire time, even when she was leaving, it definitely seems personal. And I'm starting to wonder, did something actually happen between Britt and Cinco? Because it's giving me a little, why are you so mad? Why are you so mad? Why are you so, especially if you know you got your man on lock like you claim? Because see, Cinco and Jay act like they're the perfect couple. They can get everybody advice because they don't have nothing going on. But when Britt is explaining herself to everyone, Jay is like, look, a man can only take so much. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you disrespect him in the house and you don't give him attention. Like he wants some loving, he wants some huggings or whatever, but you don't be touching him and kissing on him, but you do be touching on everyone else, including my man, Cinco. So she says at the end of the day, like, what are you talking about? Like, she's so confused. Now, of course, production's being messy and showing flashbacks of her being goody-goody with the other guys. And even Cinco sits up there and was like, well, you did tickle me, though. And we see a flashback of Britt tickling him, okay? Is that inappropriate? Absolutely. Now, with that, Jay pretty much says she looks like a promiscuous whore on television. Now, okay, she can say that if she wants to. That's fine. She has a right to her opinion. But I do have a hard time hearing it from Jay, who literally got busy the first day meeting Cinco in the shower. And even Britt said that in her confessional. And I said, yeah, she kind of got a point. How you going to be calling somebody a whore? How you going to call somebody a whore? And you sitting up there getting busy, literally not even 24 hours after you met that man. And not to mention, you admitted that you had freaky tales with two people within a 24-hour period. A lot of people would think that's 304 behavior too. I'm just saying. So one thing though that I did not like about what Britt did, and I can't stand people like this, and I'm real quick to like block and delete people like this, is when she was like, do you even know what that word means? Do you even know what that word means? I can't stand people when they try to have a comeback or they trying to be a condescending asshole. They try to say things like, do you even know what it means? Look it up in a dictionary as if they're smarter than someone else. Girl, who gives a shit? Do you know what it means? The whole point is the one word that you did hear definitely was whore. 304. But of course, she wanted to come back with this, they're beneath me. I'm smarter than them. They're ignorant. I don't have time to have this type of conversation. And she just walks away. Britt is coming off as a bitch at this moment. And yeah, at this point, I can definitely see it. Now, to play devil's advocate at the end of the day, she did say Ty wasn't giving her enough attention. She could have been doing that, messing with the other guys to try to see if Ty would give her attention. Is that the right way to do it as an adult? Hell no. But at the end of the day, she was a little touchy, and she seemed to be very nice with all the other men and just seemed annoyed by Ty. At the end of the day, she didn't like him. She didn't like him. Now, I thought she liked him in the beginning when they first met on the boat. Again, we only see edits of what went on, but especially after that pool situation when they were screaming at each other, well, he was definitely screaming over the pool and getting upset. I think she checked out. At that point, she had checked out. But either way, Jay was on her, I was about to say on her neck, but she ain't really got a neck. So should I say on her shoulders? Am I wrong for saying that? Jay was on her shoulders, okay? She was on her shoulders and she wasn't holding back, pretty much saying that you need to check yourself, Britt. And so at that point, Brittany is like, you know what? I ain't got time for this. These people are ignorant. They're beneath me and I'm out of here, okay? I'm out of here. So I was like, okay, bye, girl. Because at the end of the day, don't nobody care at this point. You was checked out anyways. So Jay and Cinco argue about Atlanta versus Chicago. Cinco lives in Atlanta. Jay lives in Chicago, or at least the Chicago suburbs. And he feels she should move to Atlanta. And she says, look, I have a child and I have my whole support system in the Chicago area. And Cinco keeps saying stuff like he's a kid, like he'll be all right. And I was like, what the hell? Like, who thinks that way? Because to me, I wouldn't think that way. You want to provide as much stability as possible when it comes to you having a child. But then we find out he says, like his bragging rights, he almost went to a different school every year. Sir, that's not normal. It's not normal. Now, I understand that military kids tend to move around a lot, but I think at the end of the day, they understand that. But I've even seen kids who were military kids who had to move around a lot. It was hard on them. It was hard on them. But he's like, look, I had to go to a different school every year, and it helped me a lot to be able to communicate with people and talk to people. It's not normal. I don't give a damn what you say, sir. But my thing is, stop also making it seem like a 4-year-old can easily adjust. If his grandparents is there, if his aunts and uncles are there, if his whole existence is there, it may not be able to be a good adjustment, point blank, period. And I understood what Jay was saying in that moment. You don't have any kids. You could just pack up your stuff and come. Why can't you come to Chicago? Now, it depends on opportunity wise. Atlanta, of course, is the hub of Black entertainment right now. Again, she trying to be a comedian. I'm assuming he trying to do some acting stuff. Clearly, they on this show. It would make more sense for them to be in Atlanta because Chicago, while they film in Chicago, you don't have the auditions and all of that type of stuff typically in Chicago. But at the end of the day, again, the child is first priority. You know what I'm saying? Going to a crowded tail Atlanta. Yeah, Atlanta, again, I understand if you're moving there for the purpose of entertainment. Like, because to me, it is maybe even a second option at this point. It used to be, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do acting and stuff, it was LA, then New York, then Atlanta. I'm going to say at this point, maybe Atlanta is number 2. It can be LA and then Atlanta. So, but yeah, when it comes to a child, I totally understood what she was saying. I have to do more to move to Atlanta than you have to do to Chicago. Anyways, Brittany decides to speak to freaking Ty, and she is like, can I talk to you, please? And this is when I was just like, here we go. So she was like, okay, look, I just want to talk to you because it's not working. Duh. We know it's not working. We know this. The whole world can see it. But then she has the audacity to say, when all of that stuff started happening in the kitchen and they ganged up on me, you should have protected me if you still cared about me like you claim. You should have still protected me. And I'm thinking like, girl. Like, how are you knowing that you checked out and you don't even like Ty like that, even when he was trying? You trying to still put this on him. Just simply be honest and say, look, it's not working. I checked out a long time ago. If I ever checked in at all, I think we should leave. But for her to say, well, you could have still protected me in the kitchen if you still had any type of feelings towards me. Ty is like, you know what, dang it. At the end of the day, not only was you putting your finger in my face like I was some freaking child, but then I end up coming back in the kitchen finding out you flirting with other men. Like, what kind of mess is that? Ty is like, you take no accountability at all whatsoever. And it's always everyone else, is never you. And so at that point, she was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. And, I just feel like, it's just a little too much. And he said, look, at the end of the day, you sitting up there touching on other men. And she even said something like, I don't even remember doing that. I'm just like, girl, like seriously, just own up to it. I would have respected her much more if she would have said a long time ago, or even in this moment said, it's not working. I checked out a long time ago. I tried, but we're just not compatible. I wish you the best. And let's just leave the house. Let's just leave. But at that point, Ty was like, you know what? Let's just go. Let's just go. It's definitely not a match. So let's go. Britt ends up leaving and she walks past the rest of the couples. She don't say a dang on thing. Alexa's like, Britt, you not going to say nothing? She's like, huh? And she just go upstairs. She ends up packing her stuff and Charlie goes to her and she was like, oh, I'm going to miss you. You my best friend in the house. She was like, I'm going to still stay in contact with you. Kiki sit up there and say bye. Britt ignores her. Britt ignores her and was like, girl, bye. Like, she's like, I ain't about to be fake with these hoes. And honestly, I don't blame her. If somebody gets to the point where they calling you a 304, if they calling you a 304, why should I be saying bye to you? Why? Like, at this point, you told me how you felt about the situation. Now I'm done. Even with Britt and the way she was acting and how she was being condescending, like, do you even know what that word means? Bye, girl. Like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Now, at that point, Ty says something that is very, very powerful. He gave a word. He said, often he has neglected himself to be there for others. And he says, sometimes you have to put yourself first. That is a bar. That is a word. And now, to a certain extent, I'm thinking maybe I know where Ty frustration is coming from. And for those in the chat, put a 1 in the chat for what I'm about to say if you feel what I'm saying. When you're constantly making yourself available for others and you're constantly being a service to others, even when they don't appreciate it, even when you feel drained as hell, what tends to happen is you start having a battle within yourself. Okay. You start having a battle within yourself because you know that you are not being treated the way you should be treated, but you have this self-sacrificing type of thing in you where you're always there for other people. Ty was blowing up because he probably felt like he always was doing for others and he wasn't getting the same in return. That frustration that came didn't just come from that house. It probably came from a lot of other situations as well. That's probably where it came up, because I was like, damn, why is he blowing up so much at the pool? Because he was frustrated as hell. And he probably saw all the signs that he should have avoided a long time ago, always being the one to do everything and always trying to cater to everyone, but no one's catering to him. I think that's where that came from. So when he said that, I said, that's a word, but I hope you actually take that in consideration and actually do put yourself first. Like, it's very important for you to do that. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in, please. Please hit the like button. But yeah, I understood what he's saying. Now, I definitely don't feel like if it gets to the point where you got to blow up like that, you definitely need to say that is definitely not the situation for you to be in. But yeah, so bye, Britt, bye, Ty. At the end of the day, now, if you are a caterer, I can't even talk tonight, y'all. I'm tired as hell. But what's up, Kim? What's up, Sean? I'm sorry, I'm not even seeing the chat. I ain't seen y'all in a minute. And Nadine, what's up, girl? You usually come after the live. You in the live. What's up? What's up? What's up? Britt got there and was attracted to other men, and it turned her off from Ty. Oh, you think she was already attracted to them and was like, these men are fine and he's not? Maybe that's the case. Hey, Liz, make sure you guys hit the like button. Hit the like button. They tell you on the airplane, put the mask on yourself first. Ain't that the truth, Sean? That's a word. That's a word. Because then what happens is you're so drained and you're so depleted that you're like, I have no energy for me. And I guarantee those people that you're constantly there for, they wouldn't spend 20 minutes hearing about your shit. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understood what Ty was saying, but hopefully he actually takes that into consideration and actually learns from that and make sure that he puts himself first. But yeah, we do too much and then we get mad. I've been there before. Hell, I just was in a situation like that and I blew the hell up. Because to me, a lot of times what you notice is when you constantly do that for people, there's a lack of loyalty. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing about it, I'm a good listener, but I'm not your damn therapist. You know what I'm saying? If it gets to the point where you feel like you got to put all of your drama and cares on me, you better call a therapist. Don't speak to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right for you to just put that on one person. I used to always think, well, I'm their friend, so I got to be there for them in that way. No, you don't. No, you don't. Absolutely not. But with that being said, let's move on. I'm glad they gone. They should have left a long time ago. So moving on. So at this point, Jay and Cinco are still, they having a perfume class and they still talking about Chicago and Atlanta. The one thing that they do say is though, is that, hey, well, at least we know we leaving together. All the other stuff we could figure out later, but at least we know we're leaving together, and that's all that matters. Now, interesting enough, before they go on their date, the host comes out to the final couples and says, look, Britt and Ty are gone. How you guys feeling? Jay is the main vocal one. I'm glad they gone. She didn't want to be here. We don't need, and I'm just thinking again, there's a lot of aggression there. There's a lot of aggression. I hate to use the word aggression because they try to use it a lot when it comes to us Black folks, but it's too much. And I'm really wondering if there was more than just a tickle, if you know what I'm saying, when it came to Cinco and Britt. Hopefully we'll find out if they have a legit reunion. But I just feel like she was doing a little too much, especially if your man controlled himself and was able to make sure that he checked that situation. I don't know. But with that being said, they're definitely saying they're leaving together. We're going to see if they leave together, and we're definitely going to see what happens at the reunion. Hopefully they don't have that ghetto, low budget FaceTime reunion like they had before. So the main event in the situation. Okay. Well, no, let's get to this asshole. So I guess Charlie is starting to realize that she's dealing with a master manipulator too. And she finally decides to check herself, which I was like, okay, Charlie, you can actually be an adult. She sits down with him and she's like, let me ask you something. We have been in everyone else's business, everyone else's relationship, criticizing others and their situation. Would you accept it if someone did the same to you and gave you some constructive criticism and came at you about certain things? And he was like, I don't listen to other people, nor do I care about what they think. So we'll probably go through one ear and out the other. Narcissists do that. They're so quick to try to tell you what you need to do, but they don't want to take their own advice or want to hear when someone says something about them. Narcissists. And so Charlie was like, well, would you listen to me? Would you, listen to what I have to say, or your, some criticism or constructive criticism? Would you hear what I have to say? He said, yeah, you'd probably be the only one that I would listen to. Lies. But then in a confessional, she's like, I realized that I have a smooth talking, manipulative, hypocritical piece of shit. And I'm like, yes, you do. Because he just used you. He really did. He really, really used you. At the end of the day, he's not getting in the car with you. He's just letting this ride until the end so he can get his camera time and get what he needs out of the situation. He used you. So my thing is, Charlie, get some freaking balls, even though you ain't got no balls, and leave. Period. But again, she gives me the vibes that I just want somebody to love me with my 4 kids, that she's willing to deal with this nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Just literally willing to deal with this nonsense. It just don't make no freaking sense. Oh, we have someone new, Purple. Hello, Purple. I don't think I've ever seen you before. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the crew. So yeah, so with that, you know what I'm saying? He was like, I'm just gonna stay out here and enjoy the weather. But Charlie realizes that this man is a liar and he ain't ish. Period. Period. But she still wants to continue on thinking that there's hope. There's no hope. There's no hope. He pretty much told you he was just going to have a good time and leave. And he honestly still feels that way. It's just that because you're not willing to put your foot down and demand respect, he's going to continue to ride this out. That's just what it is. So you got to put your foot down. But moving on, let me just say this, okay? Look, I don't give a damn. Y'all know how I am. Baby, all I saw when I saw Christian, which is Brandon's brother, Big Red from the 5 Heartbeats. Big Red, my office hours are from. My office hours are from 9 to 5. Y'all can't tell me he don't look like Big Red's son or a young Big Red. Especially with this pressed out perm look that he had on his head. I don't know what it was. But baby, I looked at him and I said, baby, if this ain't Big Red, yeah. Y'all know y'all see it. Y'all know y'all see it. So anywho, child, Brandon's younger brother comes and Kiki's best friend comes, okay? They come and Mia, I think is her name, Kiki's best friend comes and she comes first and they end up sitting down talking. And she, of course, tells her best friend she has not told Brandon about the ex. She has not told Brandon about the ex. She's like, girl, like, what the hell are you waiting on or whatever case may be? And she says that she's hoping that he was talking to someone else so then that way they can be even. But she also claims that the whole drinking conversation when he sat down with her after he did the photo shoot. He poured himself a whole full glass while he gave her a quote unquote lady portion or just like literally just gave her half of the cup. Yes, Big Red. That's why y'all laughing because y'all know it's true. Y'all know it's true. Y'all know it's true. Y'all know he looked like Big Red. Look at the hair. Look at the hair. Same complexion and everything. I'm telling you. So at that point, she was saying that he was trying to make it seem like she was an alcoholic and he was trying to give her the lady portion, so to speak. Let me tell you something. I know that some men feel like it's a polite thing and a gentleman thing to do to make sure that, you know, you pour a certain amount and then the woman tells you if she wants more, if she doesn't want more. But Brandon also kind of gives me the vibes that he could be probably controlling also, where he may give certain portions of food, like he may do certain things like that. That is possible. Now, I remember that episode. I don't remember her glass being halfway full or whatever. She was just asking for more. But hey, at the end of the day, you know, she was just like, you know, also she said something about how he's just been calling her an alcoholic since then. Now, I thought they had resolved it. I thought the last time when they talked to the therapist, he actually went out and had drinks with her or whatever the case may be. But she keeps saying that that is a big issue for her. Okay, whatever, fine. Christian comes in the house, honey, and he is like, hey, how you doing? Alexis, of course, meets him at the door. And so he was like, hey, how you doing? He was like, yeah, you smell good, by the way, but where my brother at? And Alexis was like, well, dang. Like, you don't want me to show you around or anything or whatever? And so she was like, well, where are you from? He said, where it look like I'm from? I was like, oof, oh, okay. And then, you know, now again, it could be that he don't understand how he come across and he doesn't realize that he's coming off a little abrasive. Maybe that's the case. But she was like, I don't know, California. He was like, no, I'm from Alabama. So at that point, Alexa was like, that little ninja is rude. And she go back in there to Chris to say, yeah, that little ninja is rude. Like the way he was coming out, and Jay was like, yeah, I can already tell he was doing so much. Like he doing too much. He just trying to be in front of the cameras, I guess is what she was trying to say. Which that is possibly the case. But again, I don't respect the way this situation was handled either. Because remember when I told y'all that Jared was being a little punk ass and letting his sister, little sister, speak for him? What was going on in this situation? His little brother Christian was speaking for Brandon. You cannot sit up there and have me respect you as a man when you can't speak for yourself and you got your freaking little brother, little sister, even a family member, period, speaking on your behalf. That is some coward stuff if I've ever seen it. But with that being said, they all have a little sit down or whatever the case may be. Now, before that, though, Brandon and Christian talk. Brandon said something about how he said, didn't he say that Christian has been his brother since he was 5 years old? And he said his stepdad is his mother's husband. And I remember when he was talking about his past with, the alcoholism from the stepdad, Christian made a comment like, I remember that, and you having to protect your little brothers. So I'm a little confused. So I'm assuming that the stepfather is Christian biological dad. I'm assuming. And when they broke up, of course, he still kept the family together. That's what I'm assuming. But with that being said, it was kind of confusing the way he said it. I almost felt like they had an improv mishap. But I guess that's the case, that Christian's dad is the stepdad that had all of the issues and then they ended up divorcing. But with that, Christian is speaking. Yes, he is speaking on the behalf of freaking Brandon, honey. And so at that point, Brandon says, I learned, Kiki, that you're caring, but I also learned that if it's not your way, it's the highway. And I also learned you have a drinking problem. Okay. Danielle gave a membership to the Chris Club. Thank you, Danielle. Elizabeth got the Chris Club membership. So at that point, he was like, yes, you have a drinking problem. Christian said, yeah, he says you drink every day. And she's like, everyone in here drinks. It's like a getaway. Like if you're on a cruise, would you not drink every day? Like, all of us drink or whatever the case may be. And Brandon was like, yeah, but I know my limits. So that tells me to a certain extent, you're still not over her issue with the drinking like you claim you are. But even Christian had to say, you're going to have to lay off the judgment when it comes to the drinking, especially in the environment that you guys are in. You're going to have to lay off of it. And even Mia, her best friend, said she really don't drink that much. However, Christian said, but see, this is my problem with you, homie Kiki. Kiki, do you love me? My brother went to, I think, where you live, Atlanta. My brother went to Atlanta 4 times to meet you, and you stood him up every single time. Let me say that again. Christian claims Brandon went to Atlanta 4 different times to see Kiki, and she stood him up every single time. Help me understand. Why in the hell are you still trying? You only got to stand me up once. And we don't ever have to talk again. And if you did stand me up, it better be a damn emergency. 4 times? This is why I'm saying this has to be improv and these are all actors. Unless there is something wrong with you. Why would you try to meet up with someone 4 times? Now, I understand Alabama, Georgia is literally not far from each other, but 4 times. And so Kiki says, that's a little excessive, but I have a reason for that. And I said, did she just say that's a little excessive? Like those 4 times, like she's trying to say that's not true or whatever the case may be. She said, well, I did have a reason. So she finally tells us the reason about the ex. And so at that point, Brandon is like, really? Like you had an ex? And she was like, I was still with my ex. And he said, so those 4 times you didn't see me, it was because of him. And she said, yeah, but also I just wasn't ready. You wasn't ready because of the ex. You wasn't ready because of the ex. So then Christian said, how long were you with the ex? And she said about 8 years. And Christian's like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. 8 freaking years. Like, are you freaking kidding me at this point? And so Brandon is like, unbelievable. And so she says, you can't tell me that you weren't talking to other people. And he said, don't throw this on me. And I agree with him. I can't stand that type of tactic. You need to take accountability for what you did in your actions, but you're going to try to throw something on me. Absolutely not. You are the one who sat up there and was in an 8-year relationship talking to this man while you were still living with your ex. You didn't tell him all this time. And then you trying to say, well, you can't tell me that you wasn't talking to other people. And he was like, don't put this on me. Don't put this on me. And she was like, but sometimes we didn't talk for months. And you mean to tell me you wasn't talking to anybody else? And he said, I'm a busy guy. And she said, well, I'm a busy woman. I don't know why people think it's impossible for people to be celibate for 4 years and just want to deal with one person. Like, she act like it was 40 years, 10 years. Like, it's very possible. Very, very possible. And so at that point, she's trying to throw it back on him. Brandon's like, oh my gosh, like, this is some BS. Pretty much, this is some drama. They end up walking the brother and Mia out. And Christian was like, I think it could still be possible. He talks about you a lot. Child, Christian, get the hell up out of here. And Brandon, the fact that you still there, I'm worried about your mental too. This is why I said it got to be acting, because I'm like, I'm truly worried about your mental. But her best friend had the nerve to say, treat my friend right, or I'm going to find a babysitter and come back. Ma'am, your friend Kiki needs to do him right. Treat my friend right. He's been treating her right to a certain extent. He ain't perfect, but he has been treating her right. Now, Brandon, if I find out in the next episode or 2, you've been hiding secrets too, then y'all all can kiss my ass. But at this moment, Kiki is looking like a straight up manipulator, period. And a damn liar. So at that point, Brandon goes talk to Alexis. And Alexis also doesn't believe that he wasn't talking to anyone for the last 4 years. And I'm like, just because you hot in the pants and you trying to get it on with Chris doesn't mean that everyone else is that way. He truly may be that guy that he has to be in a committed relationship with you to even go there, or that he genuinely liked Kiki and was waiting for that moment with her. So Kiki has the audacity to go back into the kitchen. And again, they all involved in each other's relationships a little bit too much, especially Cinco and Jay. They truly act like they are therapists. And so Kiki, of course, tries to manipulate the situation like they wasn't in a relationship. And, I don't even understand. We wasn't in a relationship. And Cinco was like, that ain't no bomb. Like, what's the issue if y'all wasn't in a relationship? She was like, exactly. And then she was like, and I just broke up with my ex in February. That ain't no bomb. And I'm thinking like, but Cinco, you felt it was a bomb when Jay had freaky tales with 2 guys in a 24-hour period. So where the hell are y'all coming from with this whole thing of that ain't no bomb? He did not know that she was in a relationship. That's a secret. But I guess he came to his senses and came to her later on and said, this man, Brandon, thought that you was a single woman living by yourself. You did not mention anything about the ex. So you have to understand his perspective on where, he's coming from. And she's like, yeah, I guess I kind of understand I messed up. Girl, another lack of accountability to me. I'm sorry, Kiki. And I know you come to this page. I know you have said what you needed to say multiple times. But girl, you looking bad as hell. So then the next morning, Brandon talks to her and is like, why did it take you so long to tell me about your ex? And so at that point, she was just like, she kind of just makes it like it's not a big deal, as always. Like, she doesn't want to take accountability. But he said, when we played that game outside with the host, you said, no, it's not okay to keep secrets. And of course, they did a flashback showing that she said, no, it's not okay to keep secrets. This child says, I don't think it was a secret. I think it's withholding information. Kiki, what the hell? What the hell? Are you kidding me? I don't think it was a secret. I think it's withholding information. Child, I was like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. I ain't got time for this nonsense. And so at that point, Kiki is trying to spin it, just like Britt was. And I'm embarrassed as a Black woman because she refuses to apologize for holding that big ass secret and literally not trying to take accountability. And she's like, I'm not going to be the only one taking accountability because you do stuff too. You don't let me talk. And I'm thinking like, girl, that is something that you guys can learn in a relationship, knowing each other, understanding what, you know what I'm saying, your flaws are and stuff like that. Holding a whole relationship on someone, girl, you either gonna apologize and say you completely effed up, but the fact that she just sat there and made it seem like I don't see what the big deal is. Really? And then you wonder why people possibly flaming you. I ain't even really checked the comments, but I'm sure people flaming her on social media. You know what I'm saying? Like this is ridiculous. So then at that point, when she refused to apologize and she making it seem like it's not a big deal, he said, so look, do you want to end this? And she was like, in this conversation? He said, no, in the relationship, in it all together. And she starts smirking like she always does, even when she was in the kitchen after she dropped that bomb on him. And she was like, you're good. And he walked away from her and she just had this grin. Like he should not have any issues with what she did. But when he said, no, do you want to end this relationship? She sits up there and smirks and she was like, we like during eating food, like you ain't even give me a chance to let me eat my food. And I'm like, child, damn the food. You looking trifling as hell. You looking scandalous as hell. You are looking like can't nobody trust you, especially no man in no relationship. The fact that you said, I don't see that as a secret. I see that as withholding information. Like there is a damn difference. Everybody better run from Kiki. At least the man should. Now, I don't know how she is when it comes to her relationships with her friends, but my thing is integrity is integrity. And a lot of times when you have a lack of integrity and a moral compass in a relationship, you probably got that with your friendships as well. But again, I don't know the girl. And again, I don't know if this is acted or not, but I know she's looking bad out here in these streets. Point blank, period. They're not going home together. It is what it is. We'll see, but I don't know. Brandon is giving simp. He's giving sucker. He's giving like something is wrong in his freaking head because there's no way four times someone stands you up and you're still trying. You're still trying, and then you end up going on a show to meet her after she stood you up 4 times. Why didn't you understand after the first time that she's not into you? Period. She's not into you. So I don't know if I can feel bad for Brandon. Do y'all feel bad for Brandon? I don't know. 4 times, I almost dropped my damn drink. I said, did I just hear 4 times? So it's kind of like you don't walk yourself into this bullshit because you could have stopped this a long time ago. But with that being said, that is my review. Y'all got to let me know what y'all think and who's going to be the next couple that's going to leave. But we'll have to see, honey. Kiki and everybody's DM and chat that reviewed this show trying to spin ish on what we're watching. You know, she may be, which telling me it's a guilt trip for her. It's a guilt trip for her on how she handled this situation. Let's just say if this was a real relationship, okay, and Brandon genuinely liked her, and she's done all of this, you making us look bad, girl, especially repping the big girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what you try to say, you can't just represent Kiki. You a Black woman and you a plus size woman. And you already know plus size women always say it's hard out here. You got you a man that actually cared about you, who was willing to deal with you, standing him up 4 times, and you do all of this? Child. And again, hurt people hurt people. So she's coming across because she's hurt. She's willing to hurt Brandon. You know what I'm saying? And this is trifling. If this is a real relationship, this is trifling as hell. I don't care. I don't care. Trifling as hell. Kiki, if you listening, you're trifling. If this is all true, you trifling. And the fact that you try to spin it saying that wasn't a secret, is withholding information, girl, you are full of it. Grow up. This is ridiculous. Like, you cannot be. Isn't she like 30 years old playing these games? So with that being said, y'all, that was the end of the episode. Y'all let me know. Continue the conversation below. What did y'all think about this episode? I think it's over. I think we only have 2 more episodes and we're done. Thank God. Kind of over this show at this point. But yeah, let's continue the conversation below. And please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video.